بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله على نبينا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. The Quranic theme that I'm going to share with you tonight, and we're going to talk about inshallah for the next 40 minutes or so, is talking about relationships or how to understand them. And I differentiate this theme from the one that I talked about a couple of nights ago or a few nights ago, where we talked about the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's specific. The relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is is its own theme. The Quran talks about that repeatedly, quite frequently. It's one of the highest ranking themes in the Quran. But here I'm talking about general relationships, like your relationship with your surroundings, whether we're talking about people, parents, children, the world that you live in, time, difficulties, the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever, like the things that you are faced with in your life, you have relationships with them. Whether you like it or not, you have a relationship. It may not be a good one, but it's still a relationship. It's like people who say, I don't have a religion. You can't. You have to, you do. You have your religion is just how you understand the world, like how you understand the world that you live in. That's what your religion is. So if you say, well, I don't know anything, that's your religion. Your religion, they call it agnosticism. It's a faith where you've chosen to answer the questions, the big questions, with I don't know and I don't care and I'm not going to look into it any further. That's a religion, and that comes with that a set of values, behaviors, and outcomes. So it's not something that you can choose not to have, because it's your world perspective. How do you understand life and death and all that comes with it? You have to have some explanation for it. It may not be a biblical one. It may not be a Quranic one. It may not be a Talmud-based one. It may not be one based on a generic faith, but it has to be something. Like when you ask the question, you have to have some explanation. Whatever your explanation is, that's your religion. That's what you believe. It may be customized. It may be your own faith. Like you made up your own thing, and that's what you're going to teach your kids, and that's what you're going to live yourself. Fine, but it's your religion. You can't afford not to have. Just like relationships, you can't afford not to. They're a part of being alive. The moment you became alive, you have a relationship with the environment around you, with the people that you run into, with the animals, with the world. You have relationships with things around you. They may not be meaningful relationships. They may be superficial, or they may not be non-communicative, but they're still relationships, and they're going to be defined one way or the other. And we have a bunch of things in life like that, where you're going to have some form of you have to speak a language. You have to speak something. If you don't, then the person who doesn't speak a language at all, has no way of communication, is mentally not capable. Like is not held accountable because they're mentally retarded. Like they can't do anything anymore. But you have to have some way of communication. Like it has to be something, a sign language, braille, whatever. You have to communicate, because communication is a part of being alive. You have to have some way of doing it. So there's a lot of things in life that are just the maxims of being around. You have to have some answer for them or some way of existing within them. You can't afford not to. It used to be you had to have a gender, but apparently we don't need that anymore. But I'm learning new things as I go along in life. I thought you had to have one of them, but maybe not. But certain things you just grow up, you come into the world, and there are things you have to kind of make a choice on them. And relationships is one of them. You have to understand the nature of your relationships. The Quran this is one of the Quranic themes. You'll find it everywhere in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to explain to you the nature of relationships you need to have with your surroundings, and how to see them and how to go by them. And you could technically put this under correcting attitudes. You could put this Quranic theme under that. But I do see it as a distinct item within the Quran, because it exists kind of on its own terms. The Quran will point out attitudes, and when it does it pretty clearly. But when it talks about relationships, it has a different approach. It kind of shows you examples of how people interact, and it talks about how interaction should have been, or it praises an interaction and shows you something that's positive. And really it's not talking about an attitude, it's talking about the nature of a relationship that existed between two people, spouses or friends or followers and their prophets, or someone dealing with a difficulty in their lives and showing you this is the way to do it versus this is not the way to do it. And it will define to a very deep and profound degree what you're capable of, how capable you're going to be in your life, the nature of your relationships and how well you understand them. The more mature your relationships are, the more likely it is that you are functional, successful, fulfilled, and happy. And the less mature your relationships are, and the less functional they are, then the less all of those things you will be in life. And I talked about this before, and I think it's really important that you remind yourself of it. That you have to take time to focus on that. And Ramadan, in my opinion, is a prime time for you to do it. It's a prime opportunity for you to take a step back and kind of think about the nature of your relationships with your parents, with your spouse, with your siblings, with your children, with your community, with the world that you live in, with time and what it has hidden for you, with the environment that you're a part of. All of these things require a certain understanding from you regarding your relationship with them and what you're asked to do, what your obligation towards them is. And today we're going to share, inshallah, 3 sets of verses that talk about understanding relationships, and the ayat are quite interesting. So the first ayah in Surat Al-Qasas is ayah number 27, and recite here in the first set of 4 rak'at, and it's within a long story that I'm going to struggle to summarize for you because it has a lot of details in it. But within it, a Shaykh al-Kabir fi Madian, an elderly, pious man that lived in Madian, would say these words. Some scholars, or many scholars, say it's Shu'aib alayhi salam. Some say it's not. It doesn't really matter that much whether it is or it isn't. It's just a man of piety and of knowledge and of wisdom who lived in Madian, who Musa alayhi salam happened to run into. So Musa alayhi salam left Egypt in the middle of the night after he had a few interactions that were problematic, or he was trying to protect someone, and as he was doing it, he struck someone in a lethal strike and killed him. And the word came out, and Fir'aun was already frustrated with Musa because Musa was not playing ball. This is before Musa became a prophet. Musa was very big on social justice and on what was happening to Banu Israel. He was not accepting the corruption of Fir'aun. He was not buying into Fir'aun's narrative. And because of that, Fir'aun couldn't wait to find a reason to kill him. So with this guy being dead, it's perfect. Fir'aun can now execute Musa with very little repercussions from his wife, who loved Musa alayhi salam to death, and from people. So Musa was told, you have to get out. If you don't want to be killed, you need to get out. So he got out. He bid farewell to his father and his mother, and he left. And he would walk to Madian, which is a place on the eastern shores of the Red Sea, somewhere in northern western Saudi Arabia today. And he would stay there for a while. But when he got there, he would get there disheveled. He looked cachectic. He did not look well. This was a man who had not eaten for quite some time. He was walking, and his shoes had fallen off, and he had no more toenails on his feet because of how much he's walked. His lips were green from eating tree leaves for the last couple of weeks. He did not look healthy or well. Alayhi salam. He was not well nourished, and he was dehydrated and tired and very thin, and just looked like someone who was. He didn't look like someone who came from a castle. Musa alayhi salam lived in the castle of Fir'aun. He was well dressed. He was well fed. He was taken care of. And then when he made this trip, that all faded away. And Musa alayhi salam was left the skeleton of what he once was. And in the midst of all this, as he's sitting there making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant him some degree of nourishment and provision, he would see 2 young ladies with a herd of sheep and a large body of water where shepherds are bringing their sheep and their cattle and their camels to drink. And these young ladies are holding their herd back. Their herd wants to drink water, they're thirsty, and they're holding them back. It's a very awkward thing to see. So Musa alayhi salam just asked the question, "Ma khatabukuma?" What's going on? So they said, "La nasqi hatta yusdira ar-ri'a." We don't take our sheep until all the shepherds leave, because we're ladies and they're men, and we don't want to have ikhtilat. And once our sheep go in the midst of their sheep, they start, being cheeky. The guys start misbehaving, and we don't want that. So we're going to hold our sheep until, and of course, they're animals. You're holding animals back from water. So Musa alayhi salam felt bad for the animals. He didn't like seeing that. So he came to ask the ladies, why are you doing this? And they explained, we're the shepherds. Our father's an old man. He can't do it anymore. We don't have a brother to do it, so we're forced to do it, and we have to wait until they leave. So he said, all right, give me your herd. فَسَقَى لَهُمَا. And he worked as a shepherd when he was younger, so he knew the drill. So he took the herd to the water. He had it. They quenched their thirst, and he brought the sheep back, gave the stick back to the ladies, and went back to where he was sitting before. And he went and he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inni Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir. I am in need of all the khayr that you used to give me. I need something. فجاءته إحداهما تمشي على استحياء. So one of the two ladies came walking with a certain degree of modesty and adab. And she said, our father is summoning you. Like he's asking if you were willing to come over to the house. So he said, yes, I'll come. So she told him, okay, walk. I'll tell you right or left. Walk in front of me. She didn't walk in front of him, alayhi salam. And she made him walk ahead, so it was more appropriate. Go left, go right. So Musa alayhi salam is going wherever she's telling him. He arrives at the house of this elderly gentleman, Shu'aib alayhi salam, or someone else. We don't know for sure. He sits there in the house, and فلما قص عليه القصص قال لا تخف. When he came to the man, and he told him the story. Here's my story. I am from the lineage of Ishaq, of Yaqub, of Yaqub ibn Ishaq ibn Ibrahim. We are enslaved in Egypt, and this is what happened, and I had to leave. He told him the story. And Musa alayhi salam was a believer. Musa alayhi salam had retreated back to the initial teachings of Yaqub alayhi salam. So he was a muwahhid. He's unclear about certain things, but he had certain understandings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before prophecy, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Unlike maybe the experience of other prophets, and even the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, there were certain things he needed clarity from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, so he could follow. Musa alayhi salam, because Banu Israel had still the teachings of Yaqub, but they had ditched those teachings and followed Fir'aun, but there were still people who had knowledge, and Musa alayhi salam had learned from them, so Musa alayhi salam had that knowledge. So the father would tell him, and as he's speaking to his daughter said, Ya abati istajirhu. Why don't you make him, rent him, or give him a job. Give him a job. Inna khayra man istajarta al-qawiyyu al-amin. The best person for you to hire for this job is someone who is strong and someone who is trustworthy. He's noble. He's a noble person. He did a favor to us, didn't ma tharkash fina. He didn't say a word, didn't ask us questions that were not appropriate, didn't stare, didn't flirt, nothing. He just did his thing and sat down. And when I went and called him, he was very appropriate. And he's someone who's capable. Musa alayhi salam was a strong man. So she was hoping that maybe her father would hire him, and that way they wouldn't have to do this anymore. Shu'aib was thinking way ahead of all this. Shu'aib wasn't thinking of hiring Musa alayhi salam. Shu'aib alayhi salam was thinking of offering him marriage. قال إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين على أن تأجرني 8 حجج فإن أتممت 10 فمن عندك وما أريد أن أشق عليك ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصالحين. So he tells him, indeed, I want to offer in marriage to you one of my daughters. And the mahr that she is going to be offered is that you take care of our herd for 8 years. Now, I prefer if you do it for a decade, but I don't want to make life difficult for you. So I'll stick with 8 years. But if you do 8, 10, I'll be thankful. You will, inshallah, find me to be a pleasant father-in-law. I won't make your life difficult. Now, why is this important? Why am I telling you this piece of the story? No one in their right mind would offer Musa at that time marriage. Musa himself at that time was not thinking about marriage. Musa at that time, if you were to be asked, you want to get married, Musa? Married. I just want this conversation to end so that maybe they put food. I'm hoping that he finishes what he's talking about and they serve something to eat. I haven't eaten for months. I'm starving. Musa, marry. I have no job. I know no one at all. I have no house. I have no money. I have no food in my belly. I don't even speak the language. I'm not a part of the culture. Marriage, I have zero hope in getting married. And at this point, it makes no sense for me to even ask for this. But Shu'aib was of a different mentality. The elderly gentleman was a person of wisdom. He saw beyond this piece. He saw beyond the wealth and the health and the social status and the financial status and the integration. He saw beyond all of that. So no one would for Musa, his daughter, if he knocked on the door in that situation. I want you to think about this. This is the importance of this story. In Musa's current situation, there is not a door that he would knock on asking for marriage that anyone would say, yes, I'll offer you my daughter. All the doors will be closed in Musa's face. What does he have to show? Where's his parents? Where's his father to come and knock on the door? Where's the jaha? And where are the people who are going to come and vouch for him? But where is his accomplishments? Where is his reputation? Type wealth, type anything. Ya Musa, have any clothing. Ya Akhi Musa, be dressed properly. Just be dressed properly. Maybe wash the green off your face because you haven't eaten but leaves for a while. No one's going to even open the door for Musa alayhi salam for marriage. That is what most people would do. That's almost everyone. But not this old man. Not this man who's way wiser than everyone else. Who understands life a little bit better. Who has tried this world and knows now what's valuable and what's not. He has a certain relationship. He understands people, right? He understands people. He saw beyond all that. He saw Musa for what Musa was. He saw the potential in this young man. He saw this young man is going places. I can see it's his character. It's how he speaks. It's how he thinks. He spoke to him for a while. He asked him questions. He figured out Musa alayhi salam is more than the shredded clothing, and the inward stomach. And the lack of a good hairdo. He's way beyond that. And he saw that in him, alayhi salam. So he offered him one of his daughters. Musa didn't ask. You see, again, that doesn't happen. You have to go ask and be rejected, ya akhi, a few times. Isn't that how it works today? We have to make sure that halal is very difficult. As difficult as possible. Please make halal very difficult. Very difficult. Make it so hard that no one can do it. Make it so hard that young men, don't even think of doing it anymore. Make it difficult. Why? Because there's no haram anywhere, so they have no choice but to do halal, right? So make it hard so that they earn it. It's not like haram is everywhere or anything. It's not like men can just look in any direction and find haram everywhere waiting for them. No, that's not the case. So they only have halal anyway, so make it difficult, right? How do we hope to have a functional society if young men are going to mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, early 30s, and women the same thing? And when they try to get married, we make it absolutely impossible. We make it so hard that they can't even think about it because the amount of money that they have to put and what they have, the show they have to put on and how they have to prove and what they have to bring forward is so difficult. Living at a time, ya akhi, where haram is everywhere. It is, if haram is easy, then you have to make halal easy or easier. Like if not easier, at least as easy so that people approach it appropriately. We're living in very, very weird times, very awkward times where people are making marriage difficult. They're building a family and starting starting something that is beautified within our deen, making it very hard for reasons I'm struggling to understand. And I watch these young people, year after year, age uselessly, with no family. Then you don't understand why. And suitable young men and suitable young women are trying to seek marriage, and we're making it hard for them, making it difficult for them, and that sends them down other paths altogether. And then we ask, why is it that high school students are doing this, and why is it that, why do you think university students who are told you're not going to get married for another 10 years, the father sits there, in his 50s, he's lost interest in this whole thing. Okay, you get married, 6 years from now when you're done. He's 23. 6 years is when he's 29. He's 23 now. He is struggling to hold his chastity now. Tell him 6 years later. Well, I tell him 6 days later is a long time for a young man. Tell him 6 years later. How is this going to be possible for this person? Oh no, he's not ready yet. Show me Musa. Musa was ready, huh? Musa was ready. Musa wasn't ready. Musa didn't even know he was ready. But there was a wisdom of an older man who knew that you don't need to have all 5 keys to get married. You don't need a key for everything. You just need to be decent. And you have to be hardworking and noble and trustworthy. And if you have these attributes, you'll be a good husband, and you'll take care of the person in front of you, and inshallah she'll do the same for you, and you'll build a life together. I've been sounding this alarm for the last couple of years. This is a real threat to our ummah. It's a real threat to our existence as a nation. We are not thinking about this right, and we're not making any real changes to it. We're making something that was designed to be muyassar, something of facilitation of ease. We're making it very difficult, and thus people don't want to engage in it anymore. We have stopped teaching our young men and young women what their obligations are in marriage, so there's no clarity. And we've made the process itself made it excruciating and tiring and embarrassing and difficult, when it should be none of those things. It should be none of those things. If we hope to save what's left of our dignity as a nation, we have to change. Yeah, Shu'aib was smart. He looked at the man, and I want to choose one of my daughters, marry one of my daughters. And all I want from you is just work. You have nothing, so here, 8 years, just work with us. You live with us and everything, take care of it. That's the mahr. I want nothing else from you. Of course, Musa alayhi salam can't say no. Because he did that, his daughter would be the prophet, the wife of a prophet. Because he was able to see beyond the superficial things. His wife was going to be, his daughter was going to be the wife of Kalimullah Musa alayhi salam, the mother of his children. He won. And all the people who had Musa knocked on their door and said no would have lost. All the people have looked at Musa and said, "What? Get out of here! Get out of here! What are you doing? Go get pants on and then tie." But Shu'aib saw beyond that, and because Shu'aib saw beyond, his grandchildren would be the sons of a prophet, of one of the great prophets of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. This comes to how you understand your relationship with people. It's how you understand people and the relationships you have with them. This is a skill. This requires finesse. Not everyone knows how to do this. Not everyone knows how to look at people and then make proper judgment. Understand what is valuable and what is not. The second set of verses in Surah Al-Qasas is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in a way that he never ever does elsewhere in the Quran. It's only here. I don't find any other example for this as far as I can tell. Where he tells the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الْغَرْبِيِّ إِذْ قَضَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى الْأَمْرَ وَمَا كُنْتَ مِنَ الشَّاهِدِينَ. And you were not there at the western side of the mountain when we gave Musa the first command. And you were not amongst the witnesses who were, and you were not with him, you were not him, and you were not the person who was given this, so you don't understand what it feels like. Okay? And you were not one of the witnesses, you were not standing there watching him, alayhi salam. وَلَكِنَّا أَنْشَأْنَا قُرُونًا فَتَطَاوَلَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْعُمُرُ. But unfortunately, a lot of people, as time goes by, they forget. They lose the ability to reflect on what happened before us because too much time has elapsed. وَمَا كُنْتَ ثَاوِيًا فِي أَهْلِ مَدْيَنَ تَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِنَا. Nor were you living in Madian, reciting the verses upon them, as the old man was. وَلَكِنَّا كُنَّا مُرْسِلِينَ. وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الطُّورِ إِذْ نَادَيْنَا. And you were not close to جانب الطور when we called upon Musa alayhi salam. وَلَكِنْ رَحْمَةً مِّن رَبِّكَ. So why is he saying this to the Prophet alayhi salam? You were not there beside the Gharbi. You were not a witness. You were not in Madian. You were not beside the Tur. Like all these things, you were not there. You did not witness what happened to Musa in Egypt. You did not witness what happened to him when he left and came to Madian. You don't know what the experience in Madian was like for Shu'aib and Musa. You were not there when Musa was called upon. Why is he saying this? Because when you read the story of Musa, questions come to mind. You start wondering, when Musa alayhi salam was told here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ya Musa, إني أنا الله إنه أنا الله العزيز الحكيم وألقي عصاك وأن ألقي عصاك فلما رآها تهتز كأنها جان ولا مدبرا ولم يعقب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls upon him, speaks to Musa alayhi salam, the greatest honor of all time. Musa is spoken to by God. He tells him, what do you have in your hand? Oh, I have a staff. Throw your staff, Musa. He throws the staff, it turns into a serpent. Musa runs. It was like, I'm good. He's out. Like, keep it. I don't need the staff, I'm good. He runs. He turns and he runs as fast as he can. You listen to the story, it's like, why would you do that? Right? You think for a moment, well, that doesn't make any sense. وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الطُّورِ. You weren't there. You weren't there for that. You don't get to ask that question. You don't get to judge. He didn't do that, alayhi salatu wasalam, but this is what the verses are teaching us. This is how they're speaking to me. You were not there. You didn't see this. Don't judge Musa. Don't wait. How does Shu'aib offer his daughter in marriage to someone who looks homeless? You weren't there. You weren't with Shu'aib. You didn't live in Madian. You don't know what his experience was like. A basic part of our relationship with people, aside from having the wisdom to see them for who they are, to see their essence, is not making assumptions about them, not judging them. Not judging them when we don't know what their experience was like. These verses in Surah Al-Qasas, that's all they do. That's all they do, is to tell the Prophet ﷺ, you were not there for any of this. You did not witness it, you did not receive it, You don't understand what the experience was like. So don't judge Musa or Shu'aib or anyone else in this story. Just do your job. Just take what I gave you. ولكن رحمة من ربك لتنذر قوما ما أتاهم من نذير من قبلك لعلهم يتذكرون. You were granted this mercy, this piece of mercy from Allah, the Quran. Take it and warn people and try to remind them of something that they learned. But don't think about, because that's what this verse is telling him. Now, you don't know. You don't know what it was like. Because Musa alayhi salam, he's bargaining with God throughout the whole time. He's like, oh, Rabbi, inni qataltu minhum nafsan fa'akhafu an yaqtulun. I killed someone when I was back there. I'm scared they'll kill me. Musa, Allah just spoke to you. Hey, Allah just spoke to you. You just saw your staff turn into a serpent. You pulled your hand out of your pocket and it was like a light bulb. No, I killed someone. I need وَأَخِي هَارُونُ هُوَ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا. I don't know how to speak well. Harun speaks well. He's arguing. So the Prophet ﷺ was listening to the story. He's like, well, يعني, would I have done it? You don't know. وَمَا كُنْت 3 times. وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الْغَرْبِيِّ وَمَا كُنْتَ مِنَ الشَّاهِدِينَ وَمَا كُنْتَ ثَاوِيًا وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الطُّورِ. 4 times in a row. You were not there. You did not witness this. You were not a part of this. So don't judge it. This is an absolutely gem of a piece of wisdom for you to take with you. The less you do this in life, the better you will be. The more successful, the more likely for you to learn, and the nicer towards people, the better relationships you'll have with people. Don't judge people for things that they do because you think that was inappropriate. You don't know what their story was. If you want to learn from their example, go ahead. If you want to learn from their example, if you want to say, you know what, if I was put in that situation, I'm going to try and not do that. Good for you. Amazing. It's an amazing lesson to learn. That inshallah, if I was put in that situation, I'm going to learn from this story and not make that mistake. Great. But don't judge someone because you think that you would have done it differently. That's not appropriate. Because you don't know. You were not there. You were not there. I always tell a story with this. So if you've heard it before, yeah, it's okay. I'm hoping that you memorize it. Imam Bukhari narrates of Al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad that at one point he was sitting amongst some of the tabi'een, the people who did not see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his life. So it's a narration in Imam Bukhari's collection. It's an authentic one. And one person came to Al-Miqdad as a Sahabi and said something really nice. He said, يعني هنيئا لعينين رأتا رسول الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. How beautiful are 2 eyes that saw the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. Al-Miqdad got upset. He got upset, like he sent the guy away. So one of his students قال يا مقداد أو يا أبا عبد الرحمن ما قال إلا خيرا. He only said something nice. I'm not sure if you misheard him, but he didn't say anything. So he gave this long lecture. It's like a page and a half يعني quote. I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but I'll share with you a piece of it. قال ما بال أحدكم يتمنى محضرا غيبه الله عنه لا يعلم لو كان فيه ما كان قد صنع ألا يكفي أحدكم أنه خرج إلى الدنيا لا يعرف إلا ربه فإني أعلم أناسا رأوا بأعينهم وجه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كبهم الله على مناخرهم في النار. So he says, why are people asking for something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not granted them? Why are they acting like they understand what something is like? Isn't it enough for you that Allah brought you into this dunya, you only know Allah, you know, Tawheed? You're asking for something that you don't know how you would have behaved had you been there? You don't know what you have done had you been there. You're saying, oh, eyes that saw the Prophet ﷺ's face? Miqdad says, I know people who stared at his face for more than I did, and they ended up in Jahannam. So maybe you just hold your tongue. Sayyidina Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman would tell the story of the trench. Now the story of the trench, there's a part of it that's, it's fun to tell, but if you think about it, you start questioning things. The night when things ended, it was very cold. The Prophet ﷺ turned to the Sahaba and he said, someone go through the trench in the middle of the night and find out what's happening on the other side. Not one person volunteered. No one. So then he asked again and he offered reward and he gets Jannah. No one. And then he said, he gets Jannah with me. No one. Not one person. And then he said Hudhayfa. And Hudhayfa says, had there been any other Hudhayfa, I would have waited for the other one. But I'm the only Hudhayfa there, so I had to get up. There was no choice. So he's telling the story. And he goes, and one of the tabi'een says something. It's almost like he says something that's, he said, Wallahi law kunna bayna Rasulillah la hamalnahu ala aktafina. If we were living with the Prophet ﷺ, we would have carried him around on our shoulders, listening to everything. Almost kind of giving a jab to the Sahaba, as if, how could they not have volunteered immediately? So Hudhayfa got upset. فقال ما كنتم يومها ولا تدرون ما حل بالناس ولو كنت, and he starts yelling at them. You were not there that day. You don't know how scary it was. You don't know how cold we were. You don't know how hungry we were. You don't know that after 15 days of this we were starving and sleep deprived. You don't know. Don't judge us for this. And he calmed everyone down. You don't know. وما كنت بجانب الغربي وما كنت بجانب الطور وما كنت ثاويا. You weren't there. Don't judge people. Maybe the relationship you have with people is, don't judge them. There's no point. What's the point? What do you get out of judging them? Unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made you a judge, unless He has given you that designation, that your job is to be a judge. He wants you to judge people on His behalf subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe you hold off, because that's His job subhanahu wa ta'ala. He'll be judging people, including you. Including you. I mean, if you're going to judge people, at least be exempted from it. At least know that, at least have some guarantee that you're not going to be judged, so you have the freedom to throw your judgment around. But if you don't, you're going to be held accountable, then maybe you hold back your judgment a little bit. And when you're not judgmental, you end up living better, because what's the alternative to being judgmental? It's being understanding. It's trying to understand people. I'm not justifying mistakes. Please never understand what I'm saying here as justifying mistakes. That's not what I'm calling for. And no one with their straight mind or understands Islam is going to justify haram. That's not what I'm doing. But there's a difference between justifying something that's wrong and understanding where the person's coming from, understanding their struggle, being able to relate to how difficult it was. If you're not going to do that, then at least don't judge them. And these verses are telling the Prophet ﷺ, don't even think of it. Because when you read the verses, it always comes to mind, Musa, bro, maybe calm down a bit. The Prophet ﷺ did not receive what Musa received. Musa's first encounter was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking to him directly. That's a sharaf. Wa kalimullah. No one got that. The Prophet ﷺ, Jibreel, that's how he received it at the beginning. So in the Prophet ﷺ's mind, he's like, I would have liked that. I would have liked that sharaf. He spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Mi'raj later, but he was like, I would have liked to get that sharaf. Right? So why are you arguing? Why are you asking questions? No, وَمَا كُنْتَ, you were not there. Don't ask these questions. You have no idea. You don't know what his experience was like, alayhi salatu wasalam. That's why Musa alayhi salam is not held accountable for any of it, because we don't understand what it means. It's beyond us. But it's a timeless lesson. The third set of verses that I'm going to talk about tonight, that we're going to hear in this third set of 4 rak'at, if this wants to move forward. No? I don't even know what they are, so you have to move. I forget. Oh, perfect. Oh, yes. The beginning of Surat Al-Ankaboot. Here's a different type of relationship. The first one was make sure that your relationship with people is based on appreciating them for who they are. Their essence, not their wealth, not their status, not their mask that they put on. Be like the father of the ladies who saw Musa for who he was. And because of that, he won and Musa won. And be like that. Don't judge people because you were not there. If you were not there, don't judge. Even if you were there, don't judge people because you don't understand. You were not a part of this, so leave it. Drop the judgment. Here's a different type of relationship. It's not with people. This is the relationship you have with time or with life. And this is a really important one, because this is what we worry about a lot. We think about this a lot. You could also use a different phrase and say this is your relationship with your future. The past is gone, so you know what happened there. Whether you like it or for better or for worse, you know what happened there. Whether you processed it or not, accepted it or not, it's gone. The present you are living right now. But really, for all of us, what's really the worrisome piece is what's coming, the future. How much of it do we have? What's going to happen within it? Are we going to be able to deal with it? Are we going to get the stuff we like? Are we going to get the stuff we don't like? What is this relationship going to look like? So it's a love-hate relationship we have with the future, where one day we're hoping great things for it, another day we are dreading horrible things, and it's a love-hate ongoing relationship, unless you understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains about it. And Surah Al-Ankaboot talks about this piece specifically. And he says at the beginning of it, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Alif Lam Mim, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. So people thought that it was possible that they were going to be left to go around saying amanna, that we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have embraced His faith and we have embraced Him subhanahu wa ta'ala as our deity and as our creator. وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. And they're not going to be trialed or tested. It's a rhetorical question, saying, of course not. Of course that's not going to happen. Of course you're going to be tested, 100%. That's what life is. Life is a series of trials and tests. Some of them come in the form of ease, and some of them come in the form of difficulty. But either way, they are just trials and tests. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is offering you something or taking away something from you to see how you're going to behave. And that's it. What are you going to do with this? Are you going to make the best of it? You're granted wealth, you're granted health, you're granted status, you're granted fame, you're granted success. Are you going to use that to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and help others? You are granted difficulty, disease, deprivation of some sort, misfortunes, challenges, obstacles. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to persevere and then try to learn from it and make the best of it? What are you going to do? That's all life is. So people thought, this is what the ayah is saying, that you could afford, that you're going to be able to say, Amanna, we accept Allah, and then there'll be like a deafening silence until the end of time. No. The moment you say this, you're going to be trialed, you're going to be tested. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. And indeed, we have tested every nation that came before them. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will expose the honest, the truthful. And He will expose subhanahu wa ta'ala those who are not truthful. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam tells us in the hadith al-sahih, قال أشد الناس ابتلاء الأنبياء ثم الصالحون ثم الأمثل فالأمثل. That the people who are trialed and tested the most in life are the prophets, and then the most pious, and then whoever is ranked after them, one after the other. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, he says, إِذَا آمَنْتَ فَتَجَهَّزْ لِلْبَلَاءِ سِرْبَالًا. If you have accepted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you have true iman, then prepare a cloak, a long, thick cloak for the fitan that are coming your way, for the turbulence, for the tribulation, the difficulty, and the struggles and the challenges. This is a guaranteed part of life. Your relationship with life in the future has to be based on the concept of mujahada, the concept of striving. If you enter with the expectation that you want it to be quiet and easy the whole way, you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to deal with things very well. You're going to get disgruntled and upset. Because if your expectation is that I want the red carpet rolled out from now until the time I die. And that's not going to be the case. Meaning every turbulation, every difficulty is going to come to you as a shock, is going to come to you as a misfortune, it's going to make you very upset. You're going to get very worked up because you were not expecting this. Why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? And you're going to be tipped over from the first or second time, and how are you going to be tipped over? If you enter with the expectation that this relationship I have with the future and with life is that there's always a challenge. There's always going to be something hard coming my way. This is life. It's always, I'm going to finish with this, and then I know something else is coming. I'm not saying you expect the worst in life. That's not how I'm saying you should live, pessimistically. No. But you have this relationship of understanding that this is a nature. This is the nature of being alive. If you're alive, then there's friction going on. And as long as there's friction, there's going to be struggles. And as long as there's going to be struggles, then you have to be prepared, and you have to have the grit, and you have to have the perseverance, and you have to have the patience. Which is what mujahada is, that willingness to strive. You're leaving your house ready for whatever the world is going to throw your way. Whatever is hidden in the hand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to deal you that day. If you walk out and your expectations are no. I need it to all be aces. That's how I want to walk through life. Think about any game you play. If you get aces all the time, it's boring. And it's not fun if you just keep on dealing you aces the whole game. Oh, okay, you won, but it's whatever. Whatever, it's the same. Yeah. You're not even okay with that for play. Life is the same. In order for you to grow, in order for us to evolve and reach our potential, there has to be difficulties. It's a part of it. So enter life with the mentality that, yep, I'm ready. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throws my way, inshallah, I'll deal with it. He'll strengthen me to deal with it. I ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala for ease. I ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala for the strength to carry the burden that He will give me. But I'm not walking with the mentality that, no, it's all going to be rainbows and roses. Oops, no rainbows, just roses. Get in trouble with people if... Yeah. This is your relationship with the world that you live in, with the time that you have, with the future that's coming your way. If you enter with that mentality, if you are prepared, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test you, and then test you again, and then test you again, and you see everything as a test, meaning when you get the job that you wanted, you see that as a test. When you cash in the paycheck that you always hoped for, you see that as a test. When you have the child, you see that as a test. And when you don't, and when you're deprived of this or deprived of that, or you suffer a loss or you suffer a difficulty, you also see it as the same thing. That means you're entering life with the mentality of, I'm going to strive. I'm going to use this to the best of my ability. I'm going to overcome the obstacles that I have in life. That is a healthy way of dealing with it. It's a healthy relationship with the world. That means you and the world are on the same page. You guys are moving in the same speed. You're parallel. You can make things happen. Many of us don't have that mentality. We have expectations that are unrealistic. And these unrealistic expectations start from the household. Start from parents that shield their children from everything. Shield them from living life and shield them from making mistakes and shield them from finding accountability when they make those mistakes. So they have false expectations of the world when they come out to it because they're used to being shielded. So they come to the world and the world, and he's a very harsh teacher. It slaps you right across the face. And it wakes you the heck up. And if you don't wake up and you fall, then it'll trample you. So understand the relationships that you have with people, how to see them, not to judge them, the relationship you have with the world that you live in and the time that is coming your way. And if you do that, you'll live a healthy and happier life. I hope that was a benefit to you. Subhanakallah bihamdik, shanu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina wa habibina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.